That is right, folks. It is Monday night, and it is time for a little Bet Your Ass with Raphael Esparza. Brought to you by our buddies over at First Financial Bank, 317-417-8582. Call John for all your banking essentials. That's 317-417-8582. And the Rockstar Realtor himself, Mr. Shawn Nugent, 317-503-8383. Gosh, man, hold on. I am slipping tonight. 8322. Yes, I couldn't remember for some reason if there was 2 3s or 2 2s. 317-503-8322. Raphael, my brother, how is it going out west?
It is going pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, well, you see, I'm on vacation mode because I am slipping.
What's a vacation? See, when I go on vacation, I just have to work.
Well, you see me now. I mean, I've been on vacation from the day job since Friday. Now I'm still working.
When I go on vacation, the first phone call I do is, do you have Wi-Fi?
I'm definitely going to have to make sure the Wi-Fi connection is good and strong for Wednesday Night Live this week, because that, my friend, will be from at least the patio. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be from me in the hot tub, but I like viewers, so I may not scare everybody off.
So Wednesday show's not X-rated? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Prop bet for Wednesday night. Will Dan be in the hot tub or not? Yes or no? What are you putting the odds on that, my friend?
I guess I need more information to put a number. Who's going to be there? What kind of is kids involved? I mean, I need more information to put a number up.
Just the wife and kids are going. It's just us four. We've got our own cabin, so that helps the prop bet on the odds.
Normally, I've watched the show on Wednesdays, and it's usually daylight still on there. So I'm going to say no on the nudity parts, just because of the daylight. If this was an evening show, I would say the kids are probably maybe sleeping, or gave them some cough medicine to go to bed early for their vacation. So I would say no on. I would say yes on bathing suits.
Okay. Well, I think you did. Definitely right on bathing suits regardless, because I'm sure there's a window right there that I have 2 nosy children. So,
Well, it was a crazy weekend when it comes to the pigskin. I mean, from LSU losing to Missouri at Missouri to the SEC who COVID got nicked up on defense because the SEC all of a sudden can't play defense. To the NFL,
like the Big 12.
I know, to the NFL where the Kansas City's had to eat some humble pie. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs. You called one of the upsets on that one. I'll have to give you that one. He called it. If no one believes me, I will sure forward that text that he did call that one. And my text says what time and day, so I'll give him as the credit. He almost went 2 for 2, almost, but
they were trying.
They were trying, but yeah, it was a crazy weekend. And I know we make fun of the NFC East. I know we do, because you love the Eagles and the Giants stink and the boys stink, but Washington stinks. But if you hate the Cowboys or love the Cowboys, that was just a horrible scene that we had to see on TV, where his leg wanted to go one way and his ankle wanted to go the other. And my hearts and prayers and a speedy recovery go to Dak Prescott, because that was pretty gruesome to see.
That was when your foot's going 90 degrees to the right. There's definitely something wrong. And like you said, win, lose, hate, love the Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan, sending nothing but love and respect and quick recovery to Dak Prescott, because nobody. I don't ever want to see anybody go through something like that. That just sucks.
No, that was just horrible. But your Eagles lost again.
Imagine that. We're only a half a game out of first.
That is funny, sad, and horrible at the same time.
It's sad. We're 1-3-1, and the Cowboys are 2-3, and they lead the division. Now, like we said, Dak Prescott is out. Andy Dalton, though. Let's talk a little bit about Andy Dalton since we're on this topic. Andy Dalton, could he be the next, or should I say, could he be the Nick Foles of Dallas this year?
He could. I mean, if he has a pretty good season, maybe puts them in the playoffs, he could be the Nick Foles. I mean, he's been a starter in Cincinnati. He played well in Cincinnati. I just think they had bad defensive teams in Cincinnati. The teams that had horrible penalties all the time. They could have made it to the playoffs, but it was a dumb penalty. So he's a legit starter. I'll give him that. He can do it. I don't see why not. I mean, he's got the same. Now he doesn't have the legs like Dak Prescott, but I think he's got an arm, or maybe even close to a better arm than Dak Prescott. So I'll give him that.
So do you see him staying healthy for the remainder of the year? Do you see him getting hurt? And God only knows who a third string quarterback is out there.
You figure they have to be making some phone calls for another quarterback. I mean, because let's face it, Prescott is out for 4 to 6 months. Andy Dalton can be a hit away from being out. So if I'm them, hey, why don't you call the Saints? They have 2 quarterbacks. They have the one young kid. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. They're playing today. I just did a whole bunch of prop bets.
It's who did they draft it?
The kid from BYU.
Yes, they drafted him because that's why they got rid of Bridgewater.
Yeah, and they still have famous Jameis there. So why don't you?
I forgot about him.
Yeah, so I would make a phone call to the Saints and say, hey, what do you want for? Are any of your quarterbacks up for grabs if needed? Because I mean, you're not. I mean, yeah, you're in the same NFC division, but Taysom Hill. There
you go.
I would request for Taysom Hill and see what they say, or even Jameis Winston. Why not?
Now I'm going to say this, and I know it's the Cowboys. It's Jerry Jones. I do not see this happening at all, but do you see any type of opening this could be for Colin Kaepernick?
No, he's not even a blimp in the radar. I mean, you haven't heard anything about him wanting to play. And people who said give him a tryout, remember he wants to try out. I did not see that one tweet, that one Instagram, give me a tryout, stuff like that. So I don't think so. I mean, this is already over 24 hours, and it's not even pardon the French, fart in a wind. I haven't mentioned anything about Colin Kaepernick. So I just think it's done.
So
it's over.
Is he a totally lost cause right now in the NFL? Do you see that? I mean, we all saw the EA Madden game, bring him back in, and you had some talk at that point. What do you think?
I think they brought him all that. I think they put him that in because you have to look at the time that was all happening. The Drew Brees incident happening. The Black Lives Matter was really hot back then. I mean, so I would just think they probably, I don't want to say they did it for PR or anything like that, but I would be totally blown away if his name gets mentioned for a possible, because he hasn't been mentioned at all. I mean, I haven't heard anything about any team besides the Seattle Seahawks before the season started about a tryout or anything like that.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Colts since I'm in Indy. The Colts tried to come back into that game, but Phillip Rivers, what do you think about Phillip Rivers? Is this a 1-year contract and that's it? Or is this a 1-year contract that we're going to keep him around and see what he can help with the future?
It could be a little bit of both. I mean, they're still 3-2. I mean, they still have a really, really good. They played against a really good. I'm going to say this. I can't believe we're going to see this in Week 6. A playoff team, Cleveland Browns, at home. Now, if they would have lost in Indy and Phillip Rivers played poorly, then I can say, okay, maybe it's just a rental. There's going to be a lot of nice quarterbacks out there next year. So I would say something like that. But I just don't see. I mean. Did he play? He didn't play that bad. I mean, I think we can kind of agree that Baker outplayed him. But I think that defense of Cleveland outplayed the Colts defense that was coming in red hot, that only gave up 29 points in their last 3 games. So I would say
the reverse role in that aspect. It was supposed to be, the dominating defense of the Colts versus a defense that is very sketchy in the Browns. And wow.
They just couldn't run the ball. That's the problem. I tell this, you can beat any team. I mean, we saw it yesterday with the Chiefs going down. If you can't run the ball and all the offense has to do is just lay back and keep everything in front of you, any team can beat any team. So We saw it yesterday, and I think we saw it. We're going to see it a lot in the NFL.
I agree. And likewise, Miles Sanders is a hell of a running back, and I do not understand why we're not utilizing that more often as far as Philadelphia. But we'll see what goes on.
That's the NFC East. No one wants to hear us talk about the NFC East.
Damn. Let's talk about we brought up the Raiders versus the Chiefs. The Raiders get their first win in Kansas City since I believe 2014 is what I heard. So you're talking about at least 6 games, 0-6 the past 6 years, going to Kansas City, beat the defending champs. As you said, this guy right here, the ass, called that game, and you said, wow. I don't know if the wow was more so Pittsburgh getting beat by Philly in my picks or Kansas City getting beat by Las Vegas, but I'm gonna lean towards that one.
I'm not gonna lie, it was more of a Philly Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh plays really well at home. So that if Philly is due, they always played Pittsburgh, and that always tough. And if I had any kind of I could see that happening. Because let's face it, everyone wants to make fun of Drew Brees and how his dink and dunk passes, but Ben Roethlisberger is the same way. I mean, he's not really gunning the ball anywhere like we've seen Big Ben before. So if there was any upset out of those 2 that you sent me, I would have said, okay, the Eagles could beat Pittsburgh. I had no idea that I thought the Raiders would come out on top and beat the Chiefs. And that score is kind of misleading. That 8 points that the Chiefs got in the fourth quarter was, I don't want to say garbage time, but the game was pretty much out of control. Raiders had all the tempo going in that game. So I know 40-32 looks a little bit closer, but actually it really wasn't. I think the Raiders, you know what the Raiders did that impressed me the most? They did the exact same thing that the Bears did on Thursday night with Tom Brady. They knocked him down. They didn't sack him. But they knocked him down. They made sure they say, hey, you know what? We're going to be here all 4 quarters. Yep. So here we are. Deal with it.
Keep it in your face defense. That's what I like to see. Now let's talk about the second firing in the NFL this year. He's finally gone. The Falcons suck. Oh, my God. I mean, okay, you'll love this because I know you love bettors that make parlay bets. I put a parlay bet together, and it was my 3 upsets of the week. I bet Philly over Pittsburgh. I bet Las Vegas over Kansas City. And then I had Atlanta, who should have won that game, winning. And, yeah, that didn't happen. Coach and GM are both gone. Interim coach was for Atlanta is now, I believe, their defensive coordinator. I can't remember his name. And how do you think that's going to go? 0-5 right now. Where are they going to go from here?
11-0. No, I mean, it can be told. We saw it with Houston yesterday. I mean, Raheem Morris is now the new interim head coach. I think is going to have this team focused. I mean, maybe that just needed a change. We all know what the Atlanta Falcons blowing the lead against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and they have not been the same team. So maybe those the DQ's voice was just one ear out the other. So we saw it yesterday with the Houston Texans. They play outstanding football. They get their first W. Maybe we'll see the same thing now, that we'll see the Atlanta Falcons play a totally different type of football now that they have DQ's packing his bags and getting ready to enjoy the holidays. And now you have a brand new leader up in the crib, and let's see what happens. But again, how does Adam Gase still have a job? And this is my analogy now. Now I know it. You heard it here first. I bet your ass. Adam Gase lasts all season long. He does not get fired. They tank. They draft Trevor Lawrence, and Dabo Swinney comes with him and coaches the New York Jets.
Oh, wow. What's the odds on that, my friend? Because I would love to see that number.
You know what? If they keep on taking and let's say maybe week, 12 or 13, and they maybe have a significant chance of getting the worst record, I'll put that prop up. Because I don't want to put it up now. And let's say they win 3 games, 4 games, and now It's just a bunch of refunds for everyone because that's not really going to happen. I would have to put a stipulation like, no, this won't happen at 2 to 1 or something. And no one wants to bet that type of prop bet. But if it's week 12, 13, 14, and they look like they're significant and maybe getting the worst record, I'll put that prop up.
So what about a prop bet now as far as Dabo Swinney going to the NFL after this season, regardless of what happens in New York and everything else? Or are we going to wait for that one as well?
We'll probably wait. I mean, because, let's face it, New York has money. The Jets have money. I mean, and like I said, if Trevor Lawrence, they really want to land him and switch it up. And let's face it, the guy Rule from Baylor is looking like he knows what he's doing over at Carolina, which they're tied for. They're 3-2. Who would have thought that would happen with no McCaffrey? And the line of Teddy Bridgewater is playing really well. So we still have Adam Gase, the favorite to be the next coach fired at -240. Doug Marrone +250. Matt Patricia 450. Mike Zimmer 9-1. Anthony Quinn, Fandiego, and Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's the new guy on the list right now. I'm going to put him at 250-1, just because.
I mean, do you think that that's really a possibility of this first year there?
No,
but we do know that Jerry Jones, if he gets his panties in a bunch, something may happen. But he did just lose his quarterback. Now I'm sure that's in Jones's mind. It's going to be a quote unquote not rebuilding for future, but rebuilding year just to see what they can do for the rest of the season.
He'll last at least 3 years, but he won't be gone this year.
Do you think that was the best move that Dallas could have gone with at coach?
At the time, maybe. I mean, I don't know if they were going to go college. I just don't see Jerry Jones going a college route. McCarthy was around. It didn't bother me. I mean, because I think McCarthy had probably learned a lot sitting around. I mean, the game that he was coaching when he was with the Packers for his last season was not the same NFL now. So I can actually see him a little bit work. I mean, he's actually working with not his players either. I mean, I have to at least give him 3 years.
All right. Well.
By the way, I wanted to mention this to you because this is I don't want to say a full sports gambling show, but I don't know if you saw this over the weekend on Saturday. College football. BYU's playing UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. They're -31-point favorites. The money line, -7,000. -7,000. If you don't know what the money line is, listeners.
That's 7 cents? On a dollar?
Yeah, that means you have to put up $7,000 just to win $100. A bettor in Vegas says, hey, you know what? Maybe I need some pocket change for the weekend. Puts up $240,000 on BYU, -7,000 to win $3,428. You know who was winning in the third quarter? UTSA was winning in the third quarter. BYU ends up winning the game by 6.
Ooh-wee.
Didn't even come close to covering the -31. But can you imagine the stomach aches this bettor had?
Oh, man.
Did he watch the fourth quarter on the pot, just sitting in there grunting like he just had White Castle for 24 hours straight?
Oh, yeah. My heart would be in my rear end because it would have sunk that far. I mean, that would have a $240,000 bet. I mean, for a $3,000 reward is not the smartest. I don't know why people. You tell me, Raphael. Why would people do such a bet like that?
Because they think it's easy. I don't want to say easy money. They think it's instant money. I had a bettor, and I can almost. There's 3 bettors that I can think of at the top of my head. If I called this Vegas casino, I don't want to mention on the air just because of legal rights and all that.
Yeah.
I would probably guess. I would say 3 names, and I wouldn't be shocked if one of the 3 names I mentioned is one of those guys that bet this.
Really?
And if that's true, this guy or girl, I just want guy or used to bet parlays on UFC and boxing, like -4,000 to a -$500 UFC, and lose all the time. Because in the fight game, a punch can knock down anybody, and does the same thing on football. He'll bet all the -$5 football games and make the 14 parlay and put down $200,000 to win maybe like $10,000 or $15,000. So I think people just think it's an easy way to get a quick, small amount of cash. I don't know if maybe they just do it for the thrill of it, but
I think that's called an addiction there.
The three guys that I can think of have the money to burn. If
they're betting $240,000 for a reward of $3,000, yeah, they have money to piss out their pot.
Yeah, it's not like he's popping Tums like Tic Tacs because he can't pay this ticket out. But
he's still grunting on the toilet in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah. I don't care how much money you have, you're still grunting. Yeah. You're still hugging the porcelain god and thinking, why did I just do that? I had to tell you that story when I knew when there was only one NFL game today, and I knew 100% I was going to be on Bet Your Ass today. I'm like, oh, he's going to love this story,
right? That's I don't know. That's questionable in my mind. I don't understand why anybody would do that, even with the money to burn. But hey, that's their money, not mine. While we're talking about, last week you had 2 games on Monday. This week we're still seeing an issue in Tennessee. What is going on there? What is going to happen? What are the odds? And we'll go into a little bit more of the odds that we were talking about earlier. But what are the odds that Tennessee is done for the season?
I don't think they're going to be done. Their cases, I think, are starting to dwindle down. I mean, one here, one there. It's not like it was, 2 weeks ago when they had – seemed like every time I hit refresh, they had 2 more guys and all that. I have a feeling it has to do with those private workouts that they had in that gym or whatever it was, because no other team is having this kind of an outbreak like the Tennessee Titans are. And I have a feeling it has to do with those private workouts they were doing at some school or some gym that they didn't know the whole protocols or blah, 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 blah. I don't know all of it, but that's the only thing that I can think of, because there's not one other team that had an outcome. I mean, it's the Patriots had 2 or 3 here, blah blah. I mean, one guy would have it, stuff like that. So nothing like we saw, like with the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, or with a whole bunch of the Florida Marlins we saw with the whole bunch. So I don't think they're going to get kicked off. Now we'll talk about some of the prep bets that I put out last week, because I think a lot of them are going to actually come true as the yes. Well, maybe when I was making the numbers, I was thinking, there's no way this is going to happen. But I just think we're only in week 6. And the NFL already moved not 1, not 2, but 8 team schedules already.
Over the next, 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would not be shocked if we see that all-important week 18.
Yeah, well, before we get into those prop bets, I want to hear your thoughts. Being an odds maker, sitting around in Vegas, hearing all the hoopla, when a game like the New England Patriots and a guy like Cam Newton tests positive for COVID and the game is postponed until the next day and all that, how many feathers are ruffled in the betting world when a star like that sends money elsewhere?
It's a big issue. I mean, COVID's a big issue for us, not just in Cam Newton and basketball. I'll use the Virginia Tech Hokies. I mean, it seems like every Saturday they're playing and they're announcing at the game, we have 14 guys not playing because of COVID or are precautionary. We saw BYU with it. We've seen it in some people in the NFL where they told or Haskins yesterday for the Washington Redskins. He said he had flu-like symptoms, a stomach ache. They didn't even tell him to come even though he was a third-string quarterback. But hey, you know what? Stay home. If you don't feel good, you have tummy aches or whatever, stay home. So, yeah, Cam Newton is the big one because of his name. But I told people there's going to be other big names that are going to have to sit out because of COVID. The all-glory one would be if Tom Brady got COVID or Patrick Mahomes. I think those two would be probably the biggest dominoes if that ever happened. But for odds makers like us, it's pretty hard to when we're trying to get that two-way money and we're listening to the game right before kickoff and the head coach or breaking news, a certain number of guys are not playing because of precautionary reasons, because they had the sniffles or they maybe just had a temperature when they got into the stadium. They could have just had a head cold. We don't know. But hey, if you have a temperature, you could test negative until the cows come home. But if you have a temperature, you ain't walking in. So right. It's been really hard for us to try to balance it and then in that late minutes, there's a big news or Cam Newton or multiple players, and then people are running to the window or running to their apps, bet to try to think that we're not listening or we don't know.
So in that last 30 seconds before the game and the odds and everything goes live, what are you thinking as an odds maker? So you got, let's say you have 3 minutes before kickoff. The 1 o'clock games are getting ready to kick off. Boom, 5 minutes before kickoff, you guys get this news that Cam Newton or whoever or however many players are on one team are gone for the day because of COVID. The game's still going on. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind? What are your reactions? What are you guys doing behind the scenes?
If it's 3 minutes before kickoff, we're glad that it's 3 minutes before kickoff instead of 3 hours before kickoff. Because if it's 3 hours, then we're just going to get flooded of parlays and people not knowing that we don't know the news. But if it's 3 minutes, either we'll shut the game down already because it's only 3 minutes, or we'll just keep it. Like if, let's say, I'll use Cam Newton for an example. If we need the other team, the other side, we'll leave it open. Hey, please bet the other side. We're heavy on New England. He's not playing. He. Please bet it. But like I said, the longer the time frame goes, the better for us. It's those times where early in the morning and I wake up and it's like 6 in the morning and I see, boom, someone from the Saints tested positive. And then all of a sudden you just see loads of money coming in from the other side, because they have 5-6 hours before kickoff. Those are times where I'm like, oh, damn, should we shut the game off? Should we shut it off? We do a whole brand new bet number. If it was 7, do we take it down to 4 or whatever? Should we keep it up? How much money? So, like I said, the quicker the time comes, like if it's right before kickoff and they say so-and-so is, we're happy.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into some of these prop bets that we talked about last week. First one. Oh, I looked at the wrong thing. You got him up there, Raphael?
Yeah, I got him up.
Go ahead.
First one, will the NFL season be suspended at any point before the Super Bowl? Yes was plus 350, no minus $5.
Is that still the same odds, you think? Because I'm on.
No, I think we have now no is minus $6. Because I think if they would have suspended it, they would have done it before they started moving all these games around.
Okay. So, yes is still up plus.
Yes is plus 450.
Okay, yeah, because you added another 100. Man, I might have to go with the yes on that just because I think it's going to get into a cluster where the teams aren't going to be able to move games around, and the NFL is going to say, "Hey, look, we're going to have to, even if it's a week, that's a suspension, right?"
Yeah, yep, it is.
Okay, so
for a week.
That kind of goes into one of the next prop bets that we're talking about. They suspend the season. Will there be an 18th week?
Yeah, right now it's pretty. The yes is pretty looking damn good. It was yes minus 250. Right now, yes is minus $5. So it's if there's any hiccup this week with either the main teams, the Titans, the Patriots, the Chiefs, and who was the other one?
The Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins. If there's any of those hiccups, there's no more wiggle room. They've already used all their bye weeks. They've already moved teams around. They switched it. There's only 2 3:00 games this week coming up because of the issue. I would think, yes, we will see an 18th week. And it wouldn't shock me. I might just take that prop down maybe after tonight's game just because I think it's pretty much irrelevant going to happen.
Right. See, folks, that's what the odd makers get to do, man. They get to shut your money off. They get to say, you aren't betting on this anymore because you know we're going to bet your ass on it, and we know we're going to lose our ass on it, so we just gut it.
Same thing is, will the Super Bowl be played February 7th? If there's going to be an 18th week, we all know that the Super Bowl, they reserved the stadium in Tampa all the way through, I think, the second week of March. I'm trying to confirm that. If it's just the first week of March or the second week of March. So that stadium is booked for the Super Bowl every 4 Sundays in February. And I think I'm trying to get that confirmation and in the first 2 Sundays of March. So as of right now, I would think the yes at minus 450 right now, that this, the no at plus 120 right now is probably a good bet.
So how many, if that happens, how many boyfriends, fiancés, husbands are
February 14th.
are going to be asking Valentine's Day for their significant other Super Bowl tickets or Super Bowl, fan time and all, what do they call it? The fan, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, will there be fans in the stands for the Super Bowl? I mean, we've had that prop bet up for a while. I don't think it's up right now, but it's. I mean, I am rooting for the Super Bowl on February 14th. I've been married 20 years. We don't celebrate. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day here, so
I mean, every day's a Valentine's for our wives, right?
Yeah, but I am hoping and praying that they move it to February 14th because I think it'd be so funny.
Oh yeah, I mean, seeing nothing but hearts and pink and purple confetti falling all over a stadium. Because now, since we weren't together last week, since then, Florida's came out and said Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and Miami is full go at their stadium now, right?
I don't know if they're full goal because I know the Gators. I know the Gators said that they wanted to fill up the stadium for the LSU game this weekend, 90,000, and the governor said, we're not that capable of that. So I don't know if they're full blown.
Okay, because I thought I read and heard that the governor, mayor, whoever, said that those three teams are ready to roll. Now that might be because. The Gator Stadium, the Swamps holds 90-some thousand people.
Yeah.
And, normal NFL stadiums don't handle that many.
No, it'd be interesting. I haven't heard anything like that. I would highly doubt it. But there's one prop bet we'll talk before the last one that I think is be interesting. Will the NFL playoffs be played in a bubble?
My question is, other than sectioning and centralizing regions for the playoffs, I don't understand how they're going to be able to work in a bubble. I don't see, like they did with the NBA, I don't see 8 teams or 10 teams going to one place and playing all their games in one stadium in one location. I could be totally wrong. I'm going to go with the no on that if I'm understanding the bet itself being a but, and you might have to clarify this for me. If the bet itself states, in a bubble means all teams are at one facility or one area.
We would clarify it like how the NHL did it. Like the NHL had it in Edmonton and Toronto. So what I'm hearing, the NFL looked into and could actually still look, if for some reason if the cases get really bad in winter, Arizona and Vegas have NFC play at Arizona and the AFC play in Vegas. So all the AFC teams, I mean, Vegas can hold all the hotels. They have all the rooms to play all the AFC games. And then the NFC goes in Arizona. And then the Super Bowl will still be played in Tampa. So, and if they need more stadiums, they can use the Charger Stadium. They have 3 cities. They have the West Coast because it's the best weather, so you won't have to deal with any rainouts or stuff like that. So, I'm still going to say no just because the NFL is just the NFL. But the no is minus 120, the yes is minus 120. But we've seen it work. We've seen it work with the Major League Baseball. We saw it work with the NHL. We've seen it work in the MLS and the NBA and the WNBA. If we're, for some kind of reasons, make a huge step backwards in the winter months of November, December, I would think the NFL would have to look into it if they want to finish their season.
If they want to finish the season is a big if. If all that goes wrong here in the next upcoming months, that's going to be interesting to keep our eye on. You got one more here. Will Patrick Mahomes test positive for COVID?
I mean, everyone knows why I posted that one. We all know about the New England Patriots, and so far he hasn't, and he hasn't seen his wife, his fiance, I think in almost a month now. Because of that, because she's pregnant.
So you want to stir the pot with him if he says he gets COVID, then it's going to start a whole rumor mill of, what girlfriend did he have come in?
Are you calling me a pot stirrer? Is that what are you calling me that?
Did he go to the strip club for chicken wings?
Are you calling me a pot stirrer? Is that what you're calling me?
Not at all, sir. Not at all.
I should put a prop bet. Would Giselle give Tom Brady COVID?
Now, does that mean she's been a little out and about?
Yeah, that's that. Now that would be the pot stir, because she wears the pants in that relationship.
Oh, slightly. Yeah. They look a lot better on her, though.
That's true. Very true. Good point.
Do you have anything coming up? Well, did you actually hear that New Orleans was talking about coming up here to Lucas Oil Stadium if the hurricane in the area get real bad? They were talking about moving up here for the game tonight.
That was 100% true. That story was, and they were actually thinking about if it was at that time when the rumors were coming out. The Eye was supposedly being really, really, really close to New Orleans, which it wasn't. But they were actually thinking about going to. They would train in Lucas Oil Field and go to the Chargers and play the game, like LSU did, where LSU went to Missouri and played their game. But that was really close. I heard they had rooms already booked up for Indianapolis for a couple of days to practice, and they were looking at flights for all that. So that was really, really close to happening.
Now, kind of real quick, going back to the LSU loss, does that have anything to do with it having to move to Missouri instead of being able to play at Death Valley?
Very, very smart. It's just not a good team. 19 starters they lost because of the NFL or because of COVID. They lost the number 1 draft pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. Yep. You did not lose that game because you had to travel. Bo Pelini did not lose that game. You lost it because you're not a good team. I'm sorry, LSU fans. I'm sorry, but if you're watching LSU, you need to watch them and think, you know what? I want to watch it because this freshman's going to be really good or this sophomore is going to be good, because you're not going to the national championship game and you're not firing any coaches, because right now you just don't have the Alabama talent, the Georgia talent, the Clemson talent. You lost too many guys. I'm sorry.
It was a one-and-done type season for them last year. They had everything fall in place for them. The coach down there, he's a damn good coach, so I like him. How you doing? But stuff happens. That's part of college, man. It's a revolving door more so than the NFL is. I mean, you have 4 years, if that, to get your team right and keep them afloat, and that kind of goes to recruiting. You got to follow up what you got going out. So
now, before we go, I want to tell your listeners something. There's nothing to do with football. You can still bet your ass off. I highly, 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 highly recommend watching this fight on Saturday night, because there's not that many good football games besides Alabama and Georgia. This fight, I think, is going around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lomachenko and Lopez boxing on ESPN Saturday night is probably going to be one of the better fights you've ever seen besides a heavyweight fight. Lomachenko is probably the best boxer I've seen in a very, very long time. His footwork, his hand speed.
The full package.
Yeah, the way he throws his punches. If you don't watch this fight, because it's on ESPN, there's no pay-per-view, you have no excuse if they want to pay the $69.99, the $89.99 or whatever, I highly, highly recommend watching Teofimo Lopez versus Vasyl Lomachenko on Saturday night on ESPN. It's going to be a phenomenal fight.
I'm going to take Lomachenko right now.
I am too. I mean, I hit laying the minus 350. I'm hoping Lopez money comes down to continue to, but I'm probably going to take Lomachenko by decision. I think this does go the distance.
Is it a 12-rounder?
12 rounds. I think it goes to 12 rounds. The over-under round prop is 10.5. I think it's over minus 180. I think this goes the difference. Lopez has too much heart for him to go down, unless for some other reason Lomachenko just dominates the fight. I mean, the body early, the head in the middle, right, and then just toys with them in the championship rounds and knocks them out. But I'll probably look at Lomachenko. If I can get him under 250, but I'm definitely going to probably look at him at decision.
Does Georgia take Alabama's number 2 spot in the rankings after this coming weekend with the win over Alabama?
No, because I think
they beat them.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. If Alabama's defense plays a lot better than last week, then maybe Lane Kiffin did have the play calls and cheated. But I'm not sold on Georgia's offense yet. I mean, if this is a shootout like we saw of Alabama, there's no way Georgia can go toe-to-toe with Alabama's running game. Their running backs are phenomenal. I thought Wisconsin produced running backs year after year after year, but Alabama, their running backs are phenomenal.
Yes, they are. Raphael, it's been another fun time with you, sir. I got a couple prop bet ideas for you. I'll text you over here in a little bit. Let everybody know in the BW Sports 1 world where to find you, sir.
You can find me on Twitter at VSI.Sports. You can also find me on Instagram at Raphael Esparza.
That's right. And he does do some odds making over at mybookie.ag. If you want to sign up over at MyBookie, bet your ass with us. Sign up using promo code BWSPORTS1 for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. I would take my $1,000 and run if I were you guys. Raphael, you got anything else before we sign off tonight?
No, full action of we got baseball playoffs. We have boxing, UFC this weekend. You got the Korean Zombie in UFC, one of my favorite UFC fighters on the main card at in UFC as well on Saturday night. Alabama, Georgia on Saturday night. So I guess I'm going to get to ignore the wife on Saturday night.
Is that normal? Excuse me. Raphael, it's been a fun time as always. This has been Bet Your Ass with Raphael Esparza, brought to you by our friends over at First Financial Bank, 317-417-8582. Hit John up for all your banking essentials. And Mr. Shawn Nugent, the Rockstar Realtor, buying or selling your home. Call Shawn at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322. And as always, put your money on betting at mybookie.ag. Put promo code BWSports1 in there for a 100% deposit match. Raphael, I will see you next Monday, and let's put the prop bet up. Yes or no? I'm going to say no on negative 150 and yes on plus 200 Wednesday Night Live being from the hot tub.
I'm going to say yes. I'll take the yes.
All right. There you have it. 250. Bet your ass with Raphael Esparza. We will see you next week, brother.
Take it easy. Have a great weekend.
Peace.